Second. And then. Hey, Dervon Korenberg, thank you for the 10 gifty boys. How the fuck do I see her live stream?
Not a big deal. And they're trying to say, you're making too big a deal over it. Or, my favorite.
Hold on, I'll be back in 1 second.
This past week, Ted Cruz and now Representatives Chip Roy, and oh, by the way, some of the other representatives who actually encouraged people to threaten members of Congress or tweeted out the location of the speaker are now telling me to apologize for saying and speaking truth to what happened. These are the tactics of abusers. Or rather, these are the tactics that abusers use. And so when I see this happen, how I feel and how I felt was not again. I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm not going to let it happen to me again. I'm not going to let it happen to the other people who've been victimized by this situation again. And I'm not going to let this happen to our country. Ever. I'm not going to let it happen. And so, as I said, and as I've kind of said earlier, is that the other reason why I've hesitated to tell this story has to do with some of that trauma. You know, as a survivor, I struggle with the idea of being believed. And what's odd is that I am in a job where people are constantly calling me untruthful or that I'm exaggerating, etc. So there's a great irony in that. But the reason why I think it's important for us to hold this to account is that because we know that if we do not hold people accountable, what they're asking for when they say, can we just move on, is that what they are asking is, can we just forget this happened so that I can do it again without recourse? And that's what these folks are asking. The folks who are saying we should move on, we shouldn't have accountability, etc., are saying, can you just forget about this so that we can, do it again? Because that's what we're asking when we don't actually hold to account. And, in these past 3 weeks, I felt like it was important to give a window of opportunity, right? Maybe in some world, Senators Josh Hawley or Senator Ted Cruz or Representative Mo Brooks would say, you know what? I was mistaken. I did not fully realize what the impact of my actions was going to be. And now in retrospect, I see that it incited something that I never wanted to incite. And for that, I am sorry.
I wish I could hide the comments.
They've had almost a month, and they haven't said that. They have doubled down, and they said I did the right thing. And if I could go back, I would do it all over again. So that tells me that these people remain a present danger. Because what that tells me is that when given another window of political opportunity for themselves, even if they know that it means that it will endanger their colleagues, they will do it again. And that's the real reason why I think that Senator Josh Hawley needs to resign, why Senator Ted Cruz needs to resign, along with many others, because they will do it again. Now let's move on to the story. One of the things that I would like us to dispel is the idea that this insurrection and this attack happened suddenly, that we couldn't see it coming, and that it was like just this outburst and all of a sudden a bunch of people rushed the Capitol. I want to dispel with that notion very quickly, because everybody knew that something was going to happen. And again, I do not speak for any other. Let me actually rewind this. And I'll try to recenter. And again, as I said, thank you for your patience here. But what I'm about to tell you is my account, how I perceive things with my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth, my body. I cannot speak for what anyone else saw, etc., unless there was someone in the room with me. But here's what I will tell you. A week before, 1 week before, the week prior to the insurrection, I started to get text messages that I needed to be careful. And that in particular, I needed to be careful about the 6th. For the timeline for you to know, this Congress got sworn in that Sunday, and the insurrection happened, Sunday, then the insurrection happened Wednesday. So there was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I probably started getting text messages about having plans for my safety, or me trying to figure something out about Thursday. And those text messages came from other members of Congress. They were not threats, but they were other members saying that they knew, and that they were hearing even from Trump people and Republicans, that they knew in their life that there was violence expected on Wednesday. So that was what I was hearing that prior Thursday. So then that night, Thursday or Friday. So then that night, I immediately contacted my staff and I said, we need to figure out a security plan and we need to figure out what we're going to do. So we get sworn in that Sunday. The next day, that Monday, was one of the first legislative votes that we had in this new Congress. It was on something called a rules package. And so this is, you guys don't really, the content of it isn't super important, but basically what the rules does is that it sets down the rules that we all must abide by for the 117th Congress that we're now in. So it's a vote. Now, what happened was that this is normally a procedural vote. It's supposed to have, it's supposed to be like a pretty normally scheduled. But what happened was that Republicans objected to the fact that the rules were gender neutral, that it didn't have man or woman or he or she or whatever, but it was just talking about people. The rules were gender neutral. And so Republicans in the House decided that they were going to make a big fight over this. So what this means is that they try to make things as procedurally difficult to pass as possible. So that meant that there was an unscheduled vote, or rather there was a vote that was kind of called quickly that day. It was like the second vote, we voted in the morning to start, and then there was another vote that was triggered. And so I had just kind of gotten back to where I was staying and grabbing a cup of coffee really when the second vote was called. Again, this is Monday. The attack happens Wednesday. And I remember rolling back up. I had to go right back up.
Bro, Republicans care about pronouns
COVID,
more than trans people do. I swear to God.
COVID, I now, drive
sometimes when you accidentally misgender a trans person, they're chill. They're like, yeah, you didn't mean to do it on purpose. It's all good. Republicans, on the other hand, will literally write Republicans will write an entire manifesto about how You should actually misgendering people.
And yeah, and so I drove up to
They
the
literally
Capitol, and I
fucking
thought I got
care
really
more
lucky
about
because I
like
found a parking
incorrectly
spot right
gendering
in front of
people
the stairs that go up to the Capitol, and I was like,
or
nice,
something
this never
being
happens.
gender
Usually I have to,
neutral
like park in the boonies and
more
walk
than
all the way
fucking
over.
trans
And
people
so I
insane.
park, and what I start to notice is that this crowd of insurrectionists is already in town. So people want to make and pretend, and a lot of these Republicans want to act like this all happened on Wednesday. But these people started coming on Monday. And so when the vote was called, and they were holding rallies and doing all of this stuff, you know, starting on Monday of that day. So when the vote was called, people started, this crowd that would eventually rush the Capitol, they would start running and like coming near the Capitol when votes were called to see members of Congress walk in. And so I park my car, and I park right in front of the Capitol, but actually there's like a fence right behind. It's kind of like if you're in New York City.
Typical champagne socialist, you got a vehicle.
I'm just speaking to my experience. Like, you know when you guys go to a parade and there's just like that aluminum fencing to keep the, like to mark off the parade route, and it's just like waist high, just like aluminum fence, and sometimes the police like pull it aside to let people cross the street. There was just one of those in the perimeter around the Capitol. And there are all these people with like these huge like flag poles with the spear tips and whatnot. I remember seeing all of this and being like, this is weird. That's suspicious. Because if you so much as say Black Lives Matter around the Capitol Hill complex, it's like 9 barricades go up. I mean, if you see the protests and the amount of militarization from last year's protests, it was like boom, 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 boom. National Guard comes in, like all these militarized people are around. And here you have, you know, we know that violence is coming. I've been getting all of these, you know, text messages. I've been getting people, and including other members of Congress, telling me that I need to be careful. Lots of people saying that violence is expected on the 6th. And there's like, just like a waist-high parade fence, just one layer deep of it, by the way, not even multiple, just one little inky-dinky aluminum fence around. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but, you know, maybe they plan on putting up more tomorrow because it is Monday, right? It's Monday. You know, they're really expecting violence on Wednesday, so maybe they haven't put it up yet. Maybe it'll kind of come up tomorrow. But that thought was kind of coming into my head. And so I come up and I go in to vote. And I come back down.
Republican colleagues texting AOC not to come to school tomorrow
Republican
is, of course,
kind of like Trump
yet another
people that
incredible
have crowded
fucking
behind my
ironic situation.
And my car,
Like,
again,
they're
is
literally like, hey,
2 feet in
AOC, you're
front of
pretty
them,
cool.
no
Like, don't come to
joke.
school tomorrow.
And there's just this one
My
little aluminum
hogs are going to
fence
try to fucking
between
shoot it up. That's
them
literally what
and,
that
like, this
text
crowd of
message is.
people. So they see me coming, and they're like so hyped that they see me coming down. And so I'm coming down, and they're like, hey, it's AOC, like, blah, 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 blah. And I honestly just, like, play along. You know, one of the things that that some of, like, my campaigns and organizers tell me is that, you know, people may have a certain impression of me, but when they actually meet me in person, I like to think I'm a little disarming. You know, because I actually engage people, and especially when Fox News has kind of like drummed me up to be this like crazy cartoon character. When people meet me in person and I'm not that crazy cartoon character that they've created on television, like people don't really know what to do. So anyways, I kind of come down and these people are like, AOC, blah, blah, blah. And so I walk down towards them, and they're right behind my car. And they all pull out their phones and they say, hey, AOC, why do you hate this country? Recording me. Why do you hate this country? And I look back at them and I said, I hate this country. I was like, I love this country. That's why I dedicate every day of my life to it. Who would do that if they hated this country?
No, you don't understand.
And they just like,
you hate this country because you want Vuvuzeller culture to destroy American sovereignty.
Well, what? She's driving a car. She's driving a car. Like, they didn't know what to say in that moment. And so they were trying to make a thing about, you know, me driving a car and being an environmentalist. And they're like, oh, she's driving a car, like, blah, blah, blah. And then they see that I drive an electric car. So then that argument goes out.
Fucking called it,
and then
dude.
they're just like,
fucking called it, dude. I am a better hog.
You just think you're better, like, blah, blah. Where does
I'm
that
a better
come from?
hog than the hogs,
but,
dude.
But, you know, it's literal, like, schoolyard bully silliness. And so,
I think I should just
you know,
quit. I should just be a fucking...
in that moment, too. And I was like... And, you know, I just started, like...
I should just quit what I'm doing and just become a hog, dude. I would do so well. I got the beanie for it already.
Man, like, whatever. Like, you do you, you know. But on the inside, I'm going to tell you, my heart was beating really fast because there's a crowd of people with spear-like instruments, however people would, you know, classify that, mobbed right behind my car. And so my heart is beating pretty fast. But I'm still, like... in this back and forth, and I'm trying to lighten the mood.
Yeah, you're pretty good at talking over women.
They're just like, oh.
Yeah, you're pretty good at talking over women, so you're already doing great. Thanks.
They're like, oh, well, I'm surprised she even knows how to drive a car, blah, 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 you know. And so I just start going like, see you guys. Like, I just start like blowing kisses at them, you know, whatever, just to create enough space for me to hit drive and get out of there.
She's trying to give us kissy poos.
That's what happened on Monday.
Shaitan.
So on Monday,
that's a she-devil right there, boys.
As members of Congress, having heightened interactions with these people. And so anyone who tells you that we couldn't have seen this coming is lying to you.
Only person that gives me secret kisses is my sister. What the fuck, AOC? You ain't my sister?
There were so many indications of this leading up to that moment. They were there on Monday. So I go back and I head back home that day until we finish our votes. And there is a grocery store on my block. And I remember going to the grocery store that night and seeing all these people in like these MAGA hats, and it felt like tents in the grocery store. And I guess this is just like, you know, whether you're from the Bronx or New York City or Queens or Brooklyn, wherever, whether you're from Chicago, whether you're just, I don't know, you also just have your wits about you in a rural area. You just can catch a vibe and you can kind of know a general sense of when things aren't right. And things started to feel not right when I was in that grocery store that Monday night. Fast forward, Tuesday. Now we're on Tuesday. And we're at there next Tuesday and another vote, you know, it was another voting day, vote was called. So
Yo, I'm sorry, and you guys are gonna get mad at me for muting this right now, but god damn, bro, she stalls more than me, dude. This story is like, we're like 25 minutes in, and it's been like one day in the story so far. Holy shit.
So I offer them a ride to the Capitol, and there were even more people, unsurprisingly,
Yo,
even
so
more
mad.
people
Go watch it on your own if you want.
that were there. In
game recognized game
around the Capitol, and this time there's like even more rallies. They have like their mics, their speakers, and everything set up, and it felt actively important, like volatile and dangerous. Like it had gotten to the point where
cry about it, dude.
I don't think a lot of people felt safe walking 2 votes, and it was already the kind of situation where we needed to drive or take a tunnel or something like that to the Capitol. That was on Tuesday. I drive, we take them to the vote, we come back, and then I realized on Tuesday, I was like, oh shoot, I left my keys. I left my keys to the apartment. And so I head back.
She's world building.
And
she's putting lore. She's building lore.
I head back to go pick up my keys. And the important thing to realize is that, the majority of people in the House and in Congress, they're all congregating around the time of the vote. But if you're going when there isn't a vote, active vote going on, like in the actual Capitol complex where that big dome is, it's pretty empty. And so I go in, I get my keys, and there were people watching. Like I had parked there, and there were already people watching me walk into the Capitol, to the point where it just didn't feel safe. And so on Tuesday, I started taking my pin off. We have these congressional pins that identify members on the Capitol complex for security reasons. And ironically, by Tuesday, I was already taking my pin off by the time I left the building.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to know who AOC
if someone
is.
Was looking from far away, they might think I was just, another 5'4", 5'5" girl walking around. That might be an intern. And so I was already taking my pin off and making proactive measures because I already felt unsafe on Tuesday. I head back to the grocery store, and I go in to buy a bottle of matcha tea because I needed the parking validation. And I go in to buy a bottle of tea, and the tension in the grocery store with these people already started escalating to the point where it literally felt like people were looking at me in the grocery store, deciding what they were going to do. Like, are we going to do something right now? Like they were I could see the calculations going on behind their eyes. And it was 100% like when you're in a bodega at 1 o'clock in the morning and you don't know if someone's about to get jumped. It felt like that in a bougie grocery store. Like, it was crazy. I mean, what? Anyways, so starting around noon that day when I was in the grocery store, I had already come to the conclusion that it was not safe for me to be outside. 24 hours before, it was not safe to be outside. And so I go back to my apartment and just stay in for the rest of the day, go back doing my work, conference calls, whatever it is that I had to do. But the understanding was that if we needed something or anything like that, I was going to send my partner or send somebody else because it was no longer safe for me to be anywhere in public in Washington, D.C. 24 hours on that Tuesday. Now, there were a lot of people asking.
I'm so lost. I don't know what day we're on. Did the insurrection happen?
I see you, Mondaire. They can co-sign, yo. They can co-sign some of the details of this situation. So basically...
Oh, Jamal Bowman.
There were members asking, what's the security plan? Because the day of the Electoral College certification, everyone has told us, and we already feel and know that this situation is pretty volatile.
I'm making fun of her. She's so nervous. And I can tell how scared she was. She's so brave. Why can you not be more like her unless of a degenerate?
What Capitol Police told House admin is, don't worry.
There's a word I would use here, but I will not because it'll get me banned.
Taken care of, but we can't tell you the details because telling you the details may cause a leak, and we don't want people who are trying to plan harm to know the details of our security plan. This is what was told to members of Congress by Capitol Police leadership. This is like the leadership of Capitol Police and the Sergeant at Arms. And so that's what they told everyone. So they said, don't worry about it. We got it. All we need you to do is show up at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. So for context, most members of Congress, our days are very busy, even in Capitol Hill. So sometimes we're in our office. Sometimes we're visiting an event.
And how it's hard for her to be
Sometimes
believed.
we go back to, especially during COVID, a lot of members.
When did I fucking say I don't believe that she was in like a genuine life-threatening situation? I do believe that. I'm just joking about how long it's taking her to tell a story as someone who also tells very long and convoluted stories. God damn, dude. Like, the fuck? What is this? What is this shit? Am I not allowed to say it?
Well, Capitol Police leadership told us was, okay, now every member needs to be on the Capitol complex by 9 a.m. on the day of the Electoral College vote. And we said, okay. So that's what we made plans to do. Now, as you all know, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and I are quite close. And so we carpooled together. And we carpooled together to the Capitol complex. And we drove in to head over and then go to our offices. And so I get to my office, I don't know, 9:30. We were running a little behind, whatever. So we head there, I don't know, like around 9:30 or so. And we head there, and I'm in my office like multiple hours before
it is leftist
storytelling. We really
storytelling.
need to be in my office because, that's just what Capitol Police leadership told us to do. So we show up, and also because this is a pretty important vote, just so that you all know, my entire office has been teleworking due to COVID. I don't make them come in physically. Everyone has been on work from home, except when there's a really big vote like this, we'll have one person come in, one of my staffers come in and escort me and attend me through the vote, right? So I had my legislative director come in and he was attending me for the vote. And so it was just he and I in my office. My office is relatively
Chad, is Donald Trump live on Hannity right now?
Offices between terms. They're doing construction. It's a long story. Point is, I'm in a brand new office. There's boxes and stuff everywhere. And so I'm with my legislative director. We're there at 9 a.m. And since I had to be there, ironically, hours before my vote.
Bro, she literally built this like Dragon Ball Z. I swear to God. It's got more fucking twists and turns than a Naruto filler episode,
I'm gonna
dude.
Be here for a couple of hours.
She dedicated 20 minutes of the matcha tea. Oh shit.
Sorry about that. I'm eligible for my second dose, and so I'm gonna go and get my vaccine. Since I've got a couple of hours to spare, and so I'm gonna go grab my second dose. And so I headed down, and so for you all to know, there's the Capitol Hill complex. But members of Congress, except for, the speaker and other very, very high-ranking ones, don't actually work in that building with the dome. There's buildings like right next to the dome, and that's where our actual offices are. So, so what happens is that I go and I grab my vaccine, and I go and have my vaccine appointment, and I head out there and I go to get my appointment. And I go and I get the shot. And I took a video for you guys. Maybe I'll share it to my IG story after this live is done. And so I took a video. I said, I told you guys I was going to tell you everything about what was happening with the vaccine and the side effects and whatnot. And so I was recording my second dose. And so I recorded myself going down. I go there, I take the shot. Now, some timestamps for you all. This is probably happening around noon. And the clashes started happening around 1:20 p.m. So now we're on like this TikTok, okay? So so the clashes would have started happening that day around 1:20 p.m.
Going on, dude.
Or so. And around 12 p.m., I'm walking to the site where the house physician is administering vaccines. I'm recording. I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to grab my vaccine. I'm going to tell you what it's like, blah, blah, blah. I record the shot going into my arm, same way that happened last time. And then after you take your vaccine, you have to sit. If some of you, especially medical professionals, etc., have seen or know of someone who has gotten the first shot yet, you have to like sit for about 15 minutes, right? And so I go in, I check in, I get my shot. I'm asking the nurse all these questions because if I'm going to be completely honest, so much love to the nurse that gave it to me. This one.
Okay, this is a joke, right? Like, she's just like, what the fuck's going on? I'm not even kidding. Like, what?
But no, I mean, everything is the same for you to know.
I've never watched one of AOC's live streams before on Instagram. Does she just like chill?
I go, I get my shot, and then I sit for about 15 minutes for the observation period. So I sit there. God bless everyone.
Like, is this how it is? I've never watched one of these.
They did an incredible, wonderful job, and they, my observation period went fine, and they let me go. So I start walking back to my office.
Dude, I'm throwing you in jail, dude. Okay. People that say stuff like this, you're going to jail, bro.
My arm's a little sore, right?
Not just like horny jail, just jail, okay? Stop.
And, the walk back is a considerable walk. I head back to my office. We get back in. My legislative director's name is G. And so G and I head back to my office, sit back down. I go back to my office.
She's telling the story of the fucking fascist takeover.
Legislative office.
Give her some time to flesh it out, for fuck's sake.
I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is really messed up. G has to come into work today because
there was a 12-minute fucking sidestep on vaccinations. Like, what do you mean?
That I'm going to order us a really awesome lunch. And so I start scrolling, and I want to order, I'm going to get us an amazing lunch. I'm going to get us a banging lunch, because, it's just the right thing to do. And so we start doing that, and I start trying to figure out where I'm going to order lunch from. And my chief of staff calls. Now, this is around 12:45 p.m. So my chief of staff calls me and asks me, hey, how are you feeling? And I told her, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling amazing because Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff had just won the election the night before. And I was feeling sick to my stomach on Monday and even worse on Tuesday about Wednesday. It just felt like this tension was just, I thought I was going to really throw up. I felt so scared the 2 days before that about what was going to happen on Wednesday. And then when John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock won that election,
the end of it, she's going to be like, and that's why you need to eliminate the filibuster.
I felt like it had just taken a weight off of all of our shoulders. And it was just an outcome that was just beyond our wildest dreams. And so when she said...
Okay, I swear to God, this is taking longer than the Hunter x Hunter Chimera Ant arc, dude. I swear, it's extended. The narratives are... They've extended.
These people's sails a little bit because the Senate is ours.
It's not the best arc. It is way too long
now, and the Senate has been won.
The Chimera Ant arc is way too long.
I was feeling great, and so that conversation lasts about 15 minutes. So that takes us to about 1:01 p.m. And I go back to scrolling through lunch options for what we're going to order when all of a sudden I hear boom, 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 boom on my door. And then I hear these huge, violent bangs on my door, and then every door going into my office. Just bang.
Was it Chud?
Bang. Oh, shoot. See, look, I'm banging over again. Bang, 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 bang. Like someone was trying to break the door down. And there was no no voices. There were no yells, no one saying who they were, nobody identifying themselves, and just boom, boom, boom. And I just get up like this, and I run over to the legislative office, and I run over to G, and G just looks at me back, and he just goes, hide, hide. Run and hide. And so I run back into my office. I slam my door. There's another kind of like back area to my office.
It's literally like a zombie invasion.
I open it, and there's a closet and a bathroom. And I jump into my bathroom, and I close the door. And I just keep hearing these bang, bang, bang. And I jump into my bathroom and I close the door. And then I realized that the bathroom was the wrong choice. I should have jumped into the closet. And so I start opening the door to the bathroom so that I can. Oh, sorry, you guys can't hear me. So I hear these bang, bang, bangs, and I start opening the door to my office, and I start opening the door to my bathroom, and I'm going to run across to the closet. And sorry, you guys said I'm muffled, so let me repeat this part a little bit over again. Sorry, this is a little hard to hear, guys. I'm trying to, as you know, my phone keeps falling. And so basically, I go into the back, and there's a bathroom, and then there's a closet. And
it's a repeat episode!
I jump into the bathroom, and I immediately realized
this
I should have jumped in the closet.
This one's a recap episode, dude.
I open the door when all of a sudden I hear that whoever was trying to get inside got into my office. And then I realized that it's too late. That it's too late for me to get into the closet. And so I tried to I go back in, and I hide back in the bathroom behind the door. And then I just start to hear these yells of, where is she? Where is she? And I just thought to myself, they got inside. And so I hide behind my door like this. Like I'm here, and the bathroom door starts going like this. Like the bathroom door is behind me, or rather in front of me, and I'm like this, and the door hinges right here. And I just hear, where is she? Where is she? And this was the moment where I thought
insane.
Everything was over. And the weird thing about moments like these is that you lose all sense of time. In retrospect, maybe it was 4 seconds, maybe it was 5 seconds, maybe it was 10 seconds, maybe it was 1 second. I don't know. It felt like my brain was able to have.
You're gonna make a joke now? No, of course not, dumbass.
In that moment, between these screams and these yells of, where is she? Where is she? And so I go down, and I thought I was going to die. And I had a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts, I think, when you're in a situation like that. And like also one of those thoughts that I had was, I just happened to
Like, it's not
be a
fake. There's like
spiritual
people who are
person
trying to
and
kill
be
her.
raised in that
The first thing
context,
I
and
thought
I
of was,
really
where's
just
Ilhan
felt
Omar
like,
and fucking AOC when this shit was happening? It's like, if there's
this
three
is the
people that are going to
plan
get
for me,
executed, it's Nancy Pelosi, Ilhan Omar, and AOC.
then people will be able to take it from here. I had a lot of thoughts, but that was the thought that I had about you all. I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, I had fulfilled my purpose. Anyways, sorry guys. So anyways, as I'm hiding in this bathroom, hearing these yells of these men, or just just one man going, "Where is she? Where is she?" I start to look through the door hinge to see if I can see anything. And there's like a door here and there's like another door here. So I'm like trying to look through two door hinges. And so I look through this door hinge and I see this white man in a black beanie just like open the door of my personal office and come inside the personal office and yell again, "Where is she?"
It was Temple.
And I have never been quieter in my entire life. I was just, I don't even know if I held my breath, but I was just, here behind there, and I just start sliding down. And then all of a sudden I hear my staffer G yell out. And he's like, hey, it's okay. Come out. So I'm like, I don't know, so deeply rattled. I'm still processing the end of my life when I come out. And I come out, and this man is a Capitol Police officer. But the story doesn't end.
Wait, so the guy yelling was a cop?
It's a Capitol Police officer. There was no partner. Was not yelling, Capitol Police, etc., etc. But then it didn't feel right. Because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility.
What the fuck?
And
okay, this story was worth, the payoff is worth.
Things weren't adding up. Like, there was no partner there. And no one was yelling. He wasn't yelling like, "This is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police." And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility. And at first, in my brain and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I just came from this super intense experience just now. Maybe I'm reading into this, right? Like, maybe I'm projecting, like something onto him that like, maybe I'm just seeing anger, but maybe he's not trying to be angry. But I talked to G, my legislative director, after the fact, and he said, no, I didn't know if he was there to help us or hurt us either. And G was actually like, this man came with so much hostility that G was sizing him up and didn't know if he was going to have to fight him. Like, that is how...
What?
That is how, like, aggressive
he's not gonna
the
fight
situation
him, dude.
was
what the fuck?
in that moment. And we couldn't even tell. We couldn't read if, like, this was a good situation or a bad situation. It was... So, like, like so many other communities in this country, like, just that presence doesn't necessarily give you a clear signal if you're safe or not. And so the situation did not feel okay. And then he just looks at me and yells at me, and he just go down and then go to this other building. I'm not gonna like name the specific building, but he basically says, go down and go to this building. But he just says the name of the building, doesn't say anything else. But we're so rattled in that moment. And the situation felt so volatile with this officer that I run over, I grab my bag, and we just start running over to that building. Now, mind you, we weren't escorted. He didn't like come with us or follow us, or anything like that. So G and I just start running to this other building. We run down and we run to this other building. And it wasn't until we get to that building that we realize he didn't give us a specific location. He didn't give us a room. He didn't give us a place to go to. He just gave us, he said, go down. He told us to go to a certain level of a certain building. And that level of that building was street level. And so we can hear, because the buildings were not secure yet, and this is around the time when the Capitol was being stormed, that we can like hear all of these rioters behind the glass of the doors, you know, and we have no specific location to go to. We're in the hallway. We're in like the Dunkin' Donuts of the basement, and we don't have any secure place to go. And so we're in just an open hallway, and we hear the yells of these people trying to break into the building that we're in. And I'm just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go.
It's literally a zombie invasion,
and there are
dude.
2 members of Congress that I know in that building. And I was like, let's
Thank
go
God
there.
they're really fucking
And so
stupid,
it
just like
literally
zombies.
felt like
thank
just,
God they're too
I don't
fucking
know.
dumb to do
It almost
too
felt
much.
like a zombie movie or something. And so I thought one of the members in my head, I'm just like, I think they're on the 5th floor. So I run to the 5th floor and we start going around, and this is when we start losing precious time. We start hearing the yells. We go up to the 5th floor. We start hearing the yells of these people. And then we hear like other Capitol Police trying to protect the building, barking back at these people. And it just feels like it's just a matter of seconds when these doors are going to break through and they're going to get in. And so it's the 5th floor, and we run around, and I'm not finding this member's office. And we circle, and we go all the way around. And I'm like, shoot, she's not here. She's not here. And so I literally go on Google, and I'm like Googling on public information what floor they're on. And so we start realizing, oh, they're on the 5th floor. They're on the 1st floor. The 5th floor is where the Progressive Caucus meets. So that's why I have that muscle memory, at least where we met pre-COVID. And anyway, so we start running down this spiral staircase to the 1st floor. And we get to the 1st floor, and we hear the yells getting louder and louder, like, rah, 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 you know, just like I hear like the hinges cracking, you know, it just feels like you can hear all of this yelling and screaming. And as we're going down this spiral staircase closer to the street level, like the yells only get louder and louder and louder that you hear. And so we run to this member's office, and I start knocking on the door. I start banging on it. And like at this point, no one is in any of the hallways, and we're completely alone. And so I start banging on this door, and I said, it's okay. It's me. Let me in. And they may not have heard me or something like that. I call them, and you know, all of this is, I don't know, maybe happening in 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It's really hard to kind of attest to the passage of time, but it happened so fast, and I just like couldn't get through immediately. So I realized that I had actually passed by Katie Porter's office. And all of this stuff was happening so quickly that I saw Katie Porter, like going into her office, just like holding a cup of coffee because all of these developments were happening so rapidly that I think some people were at different awareness levels and at different like urgency levels than others. And so, so I start running back, and I remember that I had seen Katie getting, Representative Porter. I got to put respect on everybody's names. So I saw Representative Porter walking into her office. And so I run back, and I knock on the door, and I'm just like, bang, 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 bang. And she opens, and I'm like, hey, Katie, can I shelter with you right now? And Katie's like, yeah, of course. Come on in. Like, yeah, come on. And so we go into her office, and I'm at like a 10, right? Like I am at a full 10, fight or flight, thought I was going to die like 10 minutes ago, then thought I was going to die again, because I have to tell you that when I was banging on this door, I had thought, fully expected that by this point the building had been breached and there were people walking the hallways. Like this was what I had fully expected to be having been gone on in that moment. And so when we're outside in this hallway alone, I'm banging on this door, and I'm thinking, and I'm fully expecting one of these insurrectionists to turn the corner with a gun, and that it would be over again. And so we run back, and I'm like at a 10, because I've probably had 2 times today that I already thought that I was going to die. And I'm like, getting to bust into Katie's office, and Katie's like having a cup of coffee. Like, I think the information's still trickling in, etc. And so I start, ripping through Katie's office like a mad woman. Poor Katie, I'm like opening every closet. I'm opening every nook. I'm opening like every cranny, looking for where I'm going to hide when they get into this office. And I tell Katie, I say, because there's a gym in the House office building, and I turned to Katie and I said, have any of your staffers left any workout clothes or anything under their desks? And she was like, yeah, like I'll check. And so, and she starts like looking through, and she finds this bag, and, in just perfect fashion, like she's super collected, and I'm just like, we need this, we need that. And she's like, bam, bam. And, we're working together. And so I pull, like she pulls this like bag of workout clothes from one of her staffers, and it has like sneakers in it. And so I pull the sneakers, and this whole time I'm still in high heels, right? And so I'm like, going around looking through all this stuff. They find some snacks, things like that. And G and some of the other staffers are pushing like the couches up against the door. And I had this thought then, and I, so many have made this point since, but it's like all of these drills that people had on school shootings. It was like, okay, we're going to push the furniture up against the door. We're going to barricade us in.
Typical socialist stealing shoes.
And so G is like...
Socialism is when you take other people's shoes.
I'm looking for clothes to change into. And the reason why I'm feeling like we need clothes to change into is because if I need to jump out a window, or if I need to run, I need to blend in with the crowd as much as possible. And if I'm in high heels, if I'm in my congressional, if I'm in like workwear and my dress, I'd be easily recognized in a crowd. And so I'm like going through all of these things. And Katie has an extra like puffy jacket, and so she gives me her extra puffy jacket. So I'm in like this puffy jacket, I'm in someone else's puffy jacket, I'm in someone else's sneakers, and
She
I'm
didn't know. She
fully
had the
just like
all you need to blend in is walk near the crowd, and then automatically a halo will open up around you in
and
Hitman.
so many things happen in this period when we are when we were
Like that's how you blend in easily.
sheltering together. And like all these crazy thoughts go through your mind, and even like just racially, even Katie and I were having these conversations, and it's like it like where you feel like we as members, our nameplates are next to our offices, and it's like, are some offices safer than others because they have white sounding names, or because they have male sounding names, or like who would be safer to hide in because you would expect them least in that office, like all these crazy things that you're thinking. And it's like, this is what it's come to. And so we were sheltering in there for a long time, making all these contingency
Definitely not
plans.
Mike
We turned
Pence's
off all the
office.
lights because I was afraid
Thank you, Noodle
that,
Pains.
it's January in Washington, D.C. The sun sets mad early. It's like 3:45 and the sun is already setting. And so I'm like, we got to turn off all the lights, because if they see the offices with the lights on, like, who knows if they target that. At this point, we start getting intelligence that bombs have been found. One about like 1 block away from where we were, 1 or 2 blocks away from where we were, and then a second one like 3 blocks away from where we were.
I mean, this is really good that she's telling the story, because it makes it that much more wild
but I'm wondering
that Republicans are trying to like downplay this shit.
For one of the ways
4 weeks later
to explode, because we had gotten intelligence that there were bombs found very close to where we were. And so we're sheltering, and I'm thinking, what do we do if the building explodes? What do we do if this happens? What do we do if they break into this office that we're in? And, through all of this, what also felt crazy traumatizing is just feeling like there were people that were willing to do what they needed to do. The incredibly brave staffers that were with us, G and Katie staffers, and others that were with us, and that they were making decisions to put themselves between us and any potential danger that would break into that room. And you really struggle with that, because those aren't your decisions, and you don't want anyone to do that. But people say, no, I'm going to do this. And you really sit with that, with the weight of that. We had these emergency hoods, and I find out later, when we start getting these emergency announcements, that when they were evacuating our building earlier that day, we were supposed to take our emergency hoods with us. It's a long story. Point is that there are emergency supplies. We were supposed to take our emergency supplies with us, and that Capitol police officer didn't tell us anything about that. He didn't tell us, bring your hoods. He didn't tell us do this. He didn't tell us do that. And what's really weird in the aftermath of that situation is that after you see the videos, after you hear about what happened with Capitol Police leadership, after you know that leadership knew about the threats of violence and didn't prepare adequately for it, you start thinking back at all of these things. I didn't
yawn, motherfucker.
And
did I yawn? No, I opened my mouth.
I think about that officer and just the uncertainty.
Oh my God. This is
Did
why.
Did he not
This is
say
why.
that he was Capitol Police on purpose?
It's this fucking
Did
tiger that's
he
yawning.
lose himself in that moment? Did he
Watch.
did he not give us the extraction point location because he forgot? Or was he trying to actually put us in a vulnerable, situation?
No, I literally didn't even, I didn't even notice